want the bets from betting weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, a very good day to one and all. This is Betting Weekly Saturday Live. You're with myself, Dan Roebuck, and alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Paul Hughes. Match day 2 of the new Premier League season. All the best picks and props now that the team news is filtering through for those 10 a.m. Eastern kickoffs, 3 p.m. of course local. 3 games getting underway in around about an hour's time, but one also going on right now. And a shock on the cards once again here, Nigel, when it comes to Manchester City versus Spurs, because Spurs are 2-0 up at the Etihad. Did we see this one coming? Should we have seen it coming, given that Spurs tend to do well? They won their last season 4-0.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Stateside, joining us here for match day 2 in the Premier League, and I suppose many people will be joining here. Rick Hayes always said nothing like starting the day losing a bet. I think there's going to be a lot of people joining this show, looking at themselves. Well, we're in trouble. We got to get some money back on the later kickoffs. Well, I mean, Tottenham have been very, very good, very well organised. Thomas Frank has got a side here working to a system. He's worked wonders in 2 matches already. We spoke about Man City on the first match of the season, saying they were back. We were all very, very boyish about them. Haaland's back, yes, and had a touch. Reinders hasn't done anything in this match. Bet the most heavily bet player to win the PFA Player of the Year after 1 match. And I suppose it goes into that kind of category of knee-jerk reactions. On day 1 of the season, we all have these knee-jerk reactions. Chelsea were no good. They smashed West Ham last night. Man City going to challenge for the title. They're all in there as well. I mean, it's very, very interesting to see here. But Tottenham thoroughly deserve it. A very, very, very bad defensive goalkeeping error by Trafford to give the second goal. But are we watching the same old Manchester City? But we are watching, in front of our eyes, a very, very improving Tottenham side under Thomas Frank.
No doubt about that. Paul, welcome along. Good day to you. I mean, look, Spurs fans already this season reverted to type to a certain extent when they saw their team race to a 2-0 advantage against Paris Saint-Germain. There were late goals in that game, and those that thought that Spurs could get over the line in 90 minutes didn't manage to cash that ticket, and PSG went on to lift the Super Cup. I mean, look, it would be Spursy for them to throw this one away. What's your thoughts? We've got a quarter of the match still remaining. They're massively short price favourites here, Spurs, on the live play, but 2 goals, Johnson and Paulinho in the first half. Are they set for another win at the Etihad?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the glimpses against PSG. Obviously, they went up 2-0, and everyone was saying, they were questioning more PSG than Tottenham. And then they went out in the battered Burnley first game, and now they're doing it at City. And this is when we need to start asking these questions, like, how good are Tottenham this season? What are they actually going to achieve? We know that they're in the Champions League from winning the Europa League, and is that a distraction? Are they going to go all in on that? Or the league? Are they deep enough? We know Thomas Frank coming in has obviously been a big boost. I mean, not a jinx it, so they've scored 5 goals and haven't conceded 1 yet as of now. So with a defence last year that, couldn't keep the ball out of the back of the net. So a new Tottenham side, new look, and I don't know, it's just how good are they going to be this season? That's the question.
It's a strange one. I mean, I tend to think the Spurs will get over the line here. Ryan Aït went off in the first half. He was good in the first game against his former club Wolves. So Aki had to come on. There's been a little bit of a shift around. And Trafford showing all those old failings that we saw on the odd occasion when he was last in the Premier League with Burnley. Had a great season in the Championship, Nigel, but this is a huge step up, and keepers can be targeted, they can get nervous. Maybe we saw that a little bit here. Look, we are going to move on to the
hang on, let me just say one thing. Before we went live, you were going to say I like the corners in this Manchester City game. There's only been 3 corners.
Did I?
You did.
I thought I said sell.
No, there's 3 corners back. There's been 3 corners back to back here. Man City
Did
ran
I?
3 corners back. They are absolutely throwing everything at it. So you talked a good game in the green room before we went on, and you never come on and told us what you want to do. This was your big bet. I thought you were going to go in the corners. 3 back-to-back corners. Man City is throwing everything at Tottenham, and this is very similar to the Paris Saint-Germain game. I think there's something going. I think there's a VAR decision. There's something happening here. So the market's, and we're back now. Tottenham are minus 770. The tie is $7. Man City are 20-1. But remember, Paris Saint-Germain were a similar price going into exactly the same stage at 70 minutes. So we'll come on to that as we go on. But there's breaking news. Team news are being announced across the UK with the matches in the Premier League.
Let's just get a little bit. Just look, on the corners, it was before we came on air, and obviously the markets move very, very quickly, and I don't have a chance to get my money down. What can I tell you? Look, you can still get on. There's a whole manner of different ways that you can play. So at the minute, we're saying nothing for the City game. Nigel, Paul, for the last 20 minutes. It's just a watching brief. Any values gone or anything from you, Paul?
I wouldn't be looking at anything here. I mean, City, who they brought on? They brought on Doku and Bernardo. They haven't done anything since. Is Haaland someone? Do you know, when he's had a quiet game, do you think he's going to pop up? We know his start of the season is ridiculous every year. Is he someone that you would target to score late on when City are pushing for a goal?
I think the best chance. I think the best chance for Man City will be get a penalty or something like that, because it's getting quite a feisty affair. Tottenham are holding on, and obviously the penalty changed the match in the match against Paris Saint-Germain. So Haaland may get a pen, but at the moment Tottenham are doing all right. I think that my pre-match pick was under 3 goals, and the Asian 2 goals with the 90 minutes. But the fact that the big favourite is winning with 19 minutes to go doesn't. You'd rather the dog, be, you'd rather be the favourite 2-0 up and he's up. That Man City going to throw everything at you. So for in-play betting, I'm leaving this one alone.
Look, there's 20 minutes left here. Last 15 minutes last season, Manchester City scored 16 goals. Both teams to score yes is minus 122. I might have a little bang on that. Minus 117. I'll have to reinvest. It's suddenly got a little bit bigger. I think.
Well, I think the best bet is over 7.5 corners, but there you go.
What are we on at the minute for corners? That's probably
5.
Are we on 5? Minus 137 over 7.5. So
That'll
we need 3 more in the final 20 minutes. Look, what you're getting involved is, let us know if there's any late bets for those that are just tuning in. And Ikichiku's beyond says Spurs were always going to be much better under Thomas Frank. I think depth catches up with them when the Champions League comes around. I mean, Paul, that is a very fair point. As a Newcastle fan here, that it is very, very different when you're trying to battle on 2 fronts, especially when you're talking Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, we, in some of the games, it looked like the best team and then 2 games later, the legs were dead and we looked getting played off the park. And then, I don't know, we're a very weak team, so when it comes to depth, especially, like if any one of our midfielders go down, we'll be worried through and through. I mean, looking at Tottenham's bench today, they haven't got. Obviously they got Solanke there and Archie Gray and whatnot, but they're missing a lot of people out. They still got Kulusevski out. Is Basuma injured or is he suspended still? Do you remember when Thomas Frank didn't let him play that game? It says that he's got an injury here. And then again, Udogi's not back. Madison's out for the season, is it? So they're already missing a few players. So any more hits to this squad with a Champions League campaign as well, this could be it could spiral downhill.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Ikichiku making that on comments. Let us know if you've got any late bets in the City game. Shout out to Jack Wright as well, who's lean for this on the Premier League show. Was over 1.5 goals in the first half. Some of the reasoning was more about Manchester City than Spurs, but it's still a ticket that was cashed. So well done to Jack. I know he's tuning in at the moment. He's actually suggesting, is Isak going to play on Monday? That's one for Paul a little bit later on the show. Speaking of players in and out, what sort of team news have we got filtering through, Paul, in any of the 3 p.m. games that has caught your eye? We've got Burnley, Sunderland, Brentford against Villa, Bournemouth against Wolves. Any interesting team news lines when it comes to those 3 p.m. kickoffs?
I was having a look through the 3 of them and looking at how people are reacting to them across the social. There's not many big surprises at all. I mean, on the bench, Clivert and Christie are back for Bournemouth, which obviously is a big strength for them. I was just talking about depth, and without them two, they're kind of struggling with that in like 2 starters last season. So that'd be a big boost for them. In the Wolves camp, though, Andre's been dropped, the Brazilian midfielder, and that's a lot of questions on the Wolves side and a lot of negativity saying, "Oh, we're going to get beat today just because of that." So I don't know if the line's moved on, but on Bournemouth getting any shorter since that or anything like that. But that is the only one with the Bournemouth game. In the Brentford game, it's a lot of the same, not expected, but there's a few milestones which I wanted to ask Nigel about. When you're seeing at Morgan Rogers making his 50th Premier League appearance, is that something you go, "Oh, he wants to have a big game here"? Is that something you take into account? Do the lines get shorter for that, or?
I'm not sure that the 50. I mean, I don't think many fans would know it. I mean, he probably isn't aware of it himself until social media. I think those markets are always much better for someone having their last game at a club rather than someone that's 50. But that's massively factored in. But it could be an angle. I've never actually looked at it. So we'll see today. So let's have a look at Morgan Rogers. Team news wise. I mean, there's another corner here. Another corner. I told you in the green room.
Cash it. It was minus 113. Go on.
Corners were the way to go. I mean, the first week of the season we had a huge amount of moves, big market moves. There hasn't really been many market moves in the betting on these 3 o'clock kickoffs today. The markets are pretty level from what we saw on the Premier League show. So not
a little
really
bit of money
many
for
markets.
Burnley, I've noticed, Nigel. A little bit of money for Burnley, not necessarily since the team news come out, just from when we recorded the show till around about an hour and a half ago. I don't know why that is the case.
Well, I'll go through the market. Plus 145 we opened up on Thursday on Burnley, and we had 220 for Sunderland and plus $2. Burnley are now plus 133. So that's not a significant move. I mean, it's a few ticks lower, but a small move for Burnley. Where the move has come in that match is for the under 2.5 goals. Obviously, that was one of our picks on the show. My 2 uni players under 2 goals in this match on the Asian handicap. That has now moved from minus 167 to minus 177. So the under 2.5 goals and a Burnley home win is where the Bet Rivers bettors are heading in that match. Bournemouth, they opened up at minus 130. They opened up minus 139 when we did the Premier League show. They're now plus 130. So Wolves were plus 350. They're now plus 335. Very, very, very tiny negative towards Bournemouth, despite the negative that's coming out on social media from the Wolves fans about their team selection today and the positivity coming out of Bournemouth fans. So Bournemouth, slight negative. Slight money again for Brentford. Brentford plus 225. They now plus 220. And Aston Villa were a bet from Jack is 2U play. It was Aston Villa plus 112. They're now plus 117. But 10 minutes ago, they hit plus 125. So I think what's happened here is I think that people have the early prices or the syndicates or the late money has actually sort of disregarded what we saw in match day 1, because yesterday, Chelsea were pretty poor in match day 1. They come and showed their authority. Manchester City were excellent today. They're not so good. Excellent on weekday 1, not so good today. So everybody who's had a bad week, there has been a little bit of money towards them. Money for Wolves, money for Burnley, money for Brentford. Now, I think that's going swimming against the public anticipation, thinking, there's got to be a goal. If it's got, it could be. I thought Man City scored there, but everybody's going against going for the teams that had a bad week last week. So what that means is that nobody's taking any of this early season form into account. They think that there's a lot to be done in these matches.
Just want to put up the Brentford Aston Villa team because team news is in for these games. Just a couple of players I want to get your opinions on. Well, I'm just going to mention one, and I'll get Nigel and Paul's thoughts on this because we've had a message in regarding Ollie Watkins. But just on that Brentford side, it's interesting that Mikkel Damsgaard is starting. He didn't play in the first game because his wife was giving birth, so he missed that fixture. I saw him play pre-season against Borussia Mönchengladbach with a couple of Brentford season ticket holders, and they were explaining to me that he's playing a lot further forward for Brentford. I've actually bought his season goals on the spreads at 3.5. He only got 2 last season. His last campaign in Danish football, he got 11. He can play a little bit further forward. He might be a player, not necessarily for today, but just keep your eye on Damsgaard. But when it comes to goal scorers, Nigel, in this particular game, Ollie Watkins is the one that an awful lot of bettors will want to get with. Ben Jordan saying, is Watkins anytime goal scorer a bet here? It's against his former club, of course. He is starting up front with the likes of Rodgers and Tielemans and McGinn giving him some support here. Are we playing Watkins anytime goal scorer in this one?
Well, before we go on to Ben's question about Watkins, I think that Damsgaard, what you just told us there is a bit of, pearls of wisdom. Can't believe it. I thought it's taken 2.5 years to get something decent at you. But
See,
I tell you what,
I'm giving you the corners play.
no, I gave the corners play
as well.
I
gave the corners.
No,
play.
you didn't. No. Anyway, the Damsgaard play is a good bit of information there, because you're saying you might play in a couple of weeks, but if he plays in more an advanced role, you're not going to be getting odds of $17 to score the first goal and $6.50 to score any time. And he's at home against the Wolves side. And he's at home against an Aston Villa side that give up goals. I know last week it was 0-0, but they do give up goals. So I think that might be worth pulling the trigger today at plus 650. With regards to Ben's question on Premier League, on the Premier League show, I was very, very bullish about the chances of Ollie Watkins. He's got his record against his former club Brentford is the second best record against any other team in the Premier League. The only team he's got a better record of is in Brighton. He scored 7 goals. He scored 6 goals against his former club here, and he scored in the last 4 matches. So if Aston Villa are to win, and they've got to get a better performance than what they did. Both of these guys got to get a better performance than they did last week. Watkins would be the main man. And at plus 125, I wouldn't put you off that bet at all. But Damsgaard, if the information from Dan here, Dangerous Dan, is a decent bet there.
If it's right. Look, should Isak go, and we think he's going to play for Newcastle ever again, Paul, would you like Watkins at St James's Park? What do you think? Anytime goal scorer, Ollie, is he your bag?
I mean, it's not much of the betting thing, but I brought him in for my fantasy this week because you're targeting these Brentford fixtures, aren't you? Like, I think Nigel said it, Jack said it, I think a few other people said it when we were doing the Premier League predictions on the Instagram, that a lot of people had Brentford going down this season. So this is a fixture that Villa will be looking. They drew 0-0, had a red card in the first game against Newcastle. Now, the second game, they're away at Brentford. They wouldn't want to start off dropping points in 2 games in a row, and I think they'll like this fixture. So I think Ollie Watkins to score, it seems probably likely. What's the price on that? Do we know?
Plus 120.
Plus 120.
It's not the worst, is it? Against the leaky
Brentford
defence. I mean, just looking at that back line again, Kelleher obviously played Liverpool last season. Coyote had a great season when he came in from Italian football midway through last campaign. I always worry about Van den Berg, to be honest. Henderson's making his full debut in midfield. Ouattara's making his debut as well. Curious thing about Ouattara, incidentally, when he played for Bournemouth last season, if you played on the unders, whenever he started, you actually made some money. So it's an interesting and different Brentford side. Igor Thiago did score on his debut against Forest last week, but he looks a cumbersome striker. He's nothing like what Brentford have had previously. And Emi Martinez is back in for Villa, of course. We should mention that.
Just go back. Just have a look at that Villa team again, if you can. I mean, I'm not. This is a side that are challenging for the top 4 in the Premier League. A side that a lot of people think will do well. Isn't that a weak bench? Look at that bench.
Nice.
I mean, look at it. Look how bad it is. Bradley Burrows, Sam Proctor, Tristan Rowe. I mean, I think if they walked down the high street in Birmingham, no one would know where they were. I mean, honestly, that's a very, very weak bench. So we're talking about Aston Villa on a money line. I would say that some of the players on the Brentford bench are stronger than that. There's the markets there. There is loads of markets on the BetRivers website for this match. I think there's about 481 markets available on this match. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure. The money's coming for Brentford. The money's coming for Brentford on the Asian handicap. Money's coming from on the money line. Obviously, that's derived from the Asian handicap move. But there's a negative towards Aston Villa, and I think there's that weak bench.
Just a reminder, if you want the newsletter, then you can have it. It's free twice a week, bettingweeklystudios.com. Paul, of course, puts it together for us every single week, jam-packed with stats, with opinion, and so on. Make sure you get the insider and the newsletter. It drops Mondays and Fridays. Let's take a look at the Burnley-Sunderland game. Surprised everyone, of course, last week with that brilliant performance from Sunderland against West Ham. But obviously, Nigel, the form against West Ham has got a little bit of a time form squiggle next to it, I think, hasn't it now? Burnley and Sunderland teams here. I mean, from a Burnley point of view, you mentioned the Villa bench. I mean, the Burnley starting lineup, I might struggle to recognise if they walk past me. I mean, the big changes we know. Trafford's gone. Egan Riley has gone to French football. Esteve was there last season. Kyle Walker came back in. He only played on the Man City winning side once in 8 last season in the Premier League. And again, they look really short in terms of players in advanced areas. From a Sunderland point of view, a lot of movement inwards and a lot of experience and quality, Nigel, with the likes of Xhaka and Habib Diarra as well coming in. They seem to have strengthened in the right areas. Simon Adingra is a really good capture from Brighton. What do we make of Burnley-Sunderland today?
Well, the thing I do make is that John didn't fancy spelling the player number 3. His name is Quilinsechi Hartman. He's at Q Hartman. He didn't fancy that. He just put Q up, like, because he thought, but he did fancy Uga Chikawa. He did fancy that. And he did fancy a few other difficult names, but he never fancied the Q. Just put the Q up there. And I thought that's the first thing I'd take from the Burnley team. Just to be honest with you, I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't know much about these Burnley players at all. I mean, obviously they've got some defensive quality. They've got a manager who's quite defensively way he approaches in Parker. Sunderland are much more gun ho. I think both of these sides, as I said in the Premier League show, have got to go all out for their wins at home, and that could potentially be one of the reason that Burnley have been bet from a pre-match plus 145 to current plus 133. That is the biggest move on the day, but it's all about under 2.5 goals for me. And I'm heavily on the under 2 goals. The 0-0 detector is definitely out in force, but I think that this is quite an interesting game. But really, goals. It's all about goals. Everyone expects Burnley to have a bit of a recovery or a bit of better performance from the defeat at Tottenham last week. But looking at this performance from Tottenham, the 3-0 defeat isn't probably a bad result. There was a massive you got to remember last week, though. Let's think about it. Last week there was a huge negative. There was a huge positive for Burnley on the Asian handicaps just before the game against Tottenham, and we thought it was a positive for Tottenham, but they've gone in again for Burnley. So there may be something that's the Asian handicaps think that Burnley may be a little bit underpriced or not given the credit they deserve, especially with their home form. I know the data last year never suggested they should have gone up. They massively overperformed.
Correct.
But there is something that a lot of the big syndicates and the market movers like Burnley.
Nigel's players under 2 Asian. Jack went both teams to score no, incidentally, on the Premier League show. Just winding back to Villa. Obviously, Villa did go 1-1 play. Jack did go 1-1 play Villa to win that game at Brentford. Paul, any thoughts on this one from you, Burnley versus Sunderland? Nigel talking about that market move. Burnley were plus 120 to win this game in the Championship last season. Maybe there's a thought it should be a little bit closer to that, even though Sunderland have changed an awful lot of their personnel. And then we talk about the West Ham caveat. That form maybe not worth as much as we thought. Any picks, plays, leans in Burnley, Sunderland?
Yeah, West Ham were shocking, weren't they, in both games so far? But Sunderland, though, I think when you look at the stats, they won 3-0, but it wasn't as convincing as like you would think it was.
Trust Paul to start giving a dig to Sunderland, eh? Do you know what I mean? We knew it was coming, Nigel, didn't we? He can't give him any praise. He can't give him any. Sorry,
that's why we called him the hitman.
The transfer window is exceptional for them. We'll say that's the positive I give them. They've brought in some brilliant players, but I don't know. Burnley. I like Dubravka. I thought he was all right for us, and us losing him because obviously we wanted to get Ramsey. I think he's still a Premier League quality goalkeeper. So I like the under. Obviously, we've seen heavy money for the under. I think Nigel messaged me through the week about the inside of his pick to put under 2.5, and by the time I looked, it was like under 2.25 was the line at minus 137. It just got piled in the under. I think that's probably the way. I think Sunderland probably overperformed as well, just a bit because of the obviously Stadium of Light bouncing first game of the season, wasn't it? Everyone there, full stadium for first time in a few years.
Another dig. It's another one.
Another dig.
Yeah.
That's the last one. That's the last one. But yeah, it was rocking. Now away to Burnley, they'll be targeting this game. They would have it on their calendar as something. If they need points, if they're going to stay in the Premier League, so they should probably. I don't know. I wouldn't want to touch Burnley's score just looking at their lineup though. It's like you can't really be thinking they're going to do much, so it's probably going to be unders as Nigel said.
I think the way that the market is on these games is that these newly promoted clubs, Burnley, Sunderland, and Leeds, have to win at home. And I think they know that these are their cup finals in the Premier League. When they go away at Tottenham, when they go at Man City, they know, or Arsenal or Liverpool, they know they're in for a tough time, and they've got to pick up points against each other. So home advantage is something that's diminishing in the Premier League over the last 2 or 3 seasons. But in these kind of matches, I think it's so important because these are the ones that you have to get something from. And I think that's what the market likes. I think that's what the Asian syndicates like and the big punters like. They like these teams at home. And hence the reason why we're seeing moves for Brentford today in a must-win match already after one match. Burnley after one match. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see this Burnley-Sunderland game being a 0-0 draw or 1-1 draw. And I can understand why people want to get with Burnley on the Asian handicap with the benefit of losing half your stake or a quarter of a goal market with Burnley on your side.
One more 3 p.m. game to look at, and that is the game featuring Bournemouth and Wolves. Market movements. Bournemouth have just drifted a little bit, but Nigel, it's pretty much as you were. And as Paul was suggesting here, in terms of teams here, Andre for Wolves, which is an odd one from Wolves' point of view, thought he had a really good season last season. Bournemouth, I think they're unchanged, aren't they, from last week? They played really well, Nigel, against Liverpool. I mean, Semenyo was a terrific performance from him, and considering what happened with the racial abuse as well, I mean, he was just unbelievable to concentrate and get those 2 goals and to drag the Cherries back into that. Even Ilson starts up front, as we know. I mean, this was a game that we thought it was an overs game. Any changes to your thought process now that the teams are out and we're only 35 minutes away from kickoff?
John doesn't like Evan Nielsen either. It's F. He doesn't fancy him either. So that's another one. I think this is a perfect example of could be an overreaction. Bournemouth obviously brilliant against Liverpool, not getting any points, but a great performance, fresh, scoring goals, exciting. Wolves terrible. There's only one way to go for these sides, isn't there? The team that played so bad always got a bit of improvement, and the move for the move for Bournemouth from minus 139 to minus 130 is probably because of their extra goal threat and the way that they attack. Wolves, I do think, a team that's going to struggle this season, as I said already on the Premier League preview show. But at the odds, I wouldn't be rushing to do anything here. Evan Nielsen, he was brilliant last season. I quite like him to get a goal in a match that I think will be quite open. I know Jack is keen on goals, but I would just, for me, the market is making a move for Bournemouth, but not as much as you want. It's a very, very quiet betting day, these 3 matches. Usually there's like one big move. And even while we've been on, for 20 minutes or so, nothing has changed. There's not been one move on any team, no line move. Oh, actually, there is. There's a bit now. We've just seen Burnley go. No, they've gone out to plus 133. So there's a negative towards Burnley. Bournemouth at minus nothing. Literally nothing at all. All the money has been done before the match, and nobody, nothing at all to report. No, it's like people just want to have a watching brief today. Look at these matches and think, they're tricky matches to call. Let's just see what it is, and we'll there's going to be better opportunities to get involved in a couple of weeks.
Interesting there that Semenyo is the favourite anytime goal scorer, Paul, plus 115. Even Ilson did score in the cup game against Wolves at the Vitality last season. He's plus 143. Kluivert's only on the bench. Interesting to see who might take penalties, given that Kluivert usually does. We'll see if he comes on at some stage. Any thoughts on this one? I mean, I think overs is a fair play at minus 134. I might even go the line ahead that and get the quarter, so you get around about even money for 2.75. Any thoughts from you, Paul, on Bournemouth Wolves?
I mean, Semenyo, I think a lot of us were probably a bit surprised that a big club didn't come in for him in the summer, because he had a tremendous last season, and we saw against Liverpool he tore them up. He was spectacular in the first game. So I think him being a bit short seems fair. I'll just mention there that the corners has just cashed there for anyone who took that live of Nigel in Dan's pre-show pick in the green room as well, what you didn't want to say. But I think it's perfectly fine from a bistro. I think the Clivert one, I think without him being on the pitch, I would say Evan Nilsson would take pens. I don't know that for
possibly.
sure. I wouldn't know that for sure. But I feel like we've seen him take one for them when he hasn't
It's
been.
It's over at the Etihad 2-0 Tottenham. So incredibly, both of our leans for me and Jack both cash when you think
What do
they
you
were
mean incredibly?
Well,
No,
because I know, well, they were polar opposite, weren't they? Over 1.5 goals
They were
in the first half and under 3 goals.
That's true. That's
you know that you wouldn't think that an over 1.5 goal in first half would cash if you're betting under 3 goals in the match. So a lot of people will join us now. I think you'll see a lot of people coming in and join us now after that match. But carried away. I see if we can get some outright prices on the Premier League after that match as well. But Man City, obviously, a very big disappointment there for them.
The 2 live bets cashed as well. Dan said both teams won't score, and you said the corner. So there we go. 2 for 2. But if you watch the Premier League show, and 2 for 2 on the live show.
Pressure on you now, Hitman.
Yeah, I'll give it.
Listen, we're going to put same game parlay together for the Arsenal Leeds game before we go. Any more musings about the 3 p.m. games from you two? Or are we done with that? We done. Nigel, we were talking before we came on air about City and Spurs. I mean, look. I think City will drift. You think Spurs will come a little bit for top form? But you think they've got to be cut because they're 2 wins from 2?
What I was saying to you, I mean, I think the biggest move on the betting market won't be Man City to win the Premier League. I think they'll move, definitely. They were like plus 275. I think they go out to probably something like $4. But the biggest move, that will be a 1.25 point move. But the biggest move will be Tottenham, a rebase for them to finish in the top 4, top 6. Because the market was undecided about Tottenham. And I think 2 matches in, 5 goals, without your top goal scorer on the bench as well. They've got no midfielder. They've got money to spend. They'll spend. There's no doubt about it. They're in for Eze. They're without Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke, and they're still gone to Man City 1-2-0. They won 3-0 at home to Burnley in a match that last season they would have lost. The market will have a rebase on Tottenham, and the market will have a rebase on Manchester United tomorrow if they put 2 or 3 past Fulham. They're the 2 teams that the whole market didn't know what to do. And now we have a very, very exciting Premier League race. Very, very exciting Premier League.
I think we might get a little bit of plus 450, top 4, Tottenham plus 500.
If Aston Villa get beat today or Aston Villa don't put in a performance, then Tottenham are going to overtake them. Well, they probably overtake them now anyway. Newcastle, obviously, in transition problems there. Man City and Tottenham, Man United and Tottenham are right in the shake-up now with the top 6 and potentially even the top 4 as well.
Amir says Chelsea's great for me. He's got them on the outrights at 9-1. And Noah says thanks to Jack for the first half lean in the City game. Indeed, we've got 2 more points of order before we power down today. Charles says Sunderland versus Tottenham for the league. Yes, quite. Championship games, boys. I've not looked at the Championship. You two may well have. What have you got for us for a Championship pick today for 3 p.m. kickoffs? Nigel, Paul, got anything?
Well, I mean, the first thing we have to do is obviously the American audience that watches the show are following the 2 teams that are obviously got the big following in America, and that is obviously Birmingham and Wrexham. They are both very heavy favourites today in their matches respectively. Birmingham go to Oxford. They're minus 240 with Bet Rivers. Plus 510 is Oxford. Plus 310. Obviously, Birmingham have had a brilliant start to the Championship. My tip to win the Championship and doing well. Wrexham played a club in complete crisis, Sheffield Wednesday. Minus 205 Wrexham. Plus 425 Sheffield Wednesday. And $3 for the tie. And the double plays plus 112. The parlay on Birmingham and Wrexham. The 2 teams owned by the American actors and the American GOAT, Tom Brady, a plus 112 in the parlay. I think that is a great bet for American bettors who are following those 2 sides. So Birmingham and Wrexham in a parlay, plus 112. My team, QPR, we're in trouble. We're at Coventry, free scoring Coventry. Coventry being boosted today that they've finally, after all the years they've had in their problems, they own their own stadium for the first time in how many years is that? That must have been 15 years now. They've been fighting to get their own stadium. Frank Lampard is doing wonders there. But QPR, be careful of betting the minus 265 on Coventry. Feel good factor at QPR because they've just been given £6 million on the back of Ebre Esse going to Arsenal. QPR plus 510. Wouldn't be betting that. But Birmingham and Wrexham on the parlay, with Bet Rivers, the American parlay, plus 110 now. Birmingham has been betting minus 245. Anything above plus money, I quite like that. Birmingham and Wrexham.
We all got on Millwall last week, which was an absolute shocker. Paul, anything outside of the games we've talked about? You can give us the tip for Newcastle to beat Liverpool. Anything for you over the course of this weekend that you want to put up?
I'll quickly touch on the Wrexham, and then I'll go the Newcastle one because that's one people want to hear about. But Okongwu dropped, and fans are very negative towards Ward, is what I've been seeing for the Wrexham camp. Okongwu, people are questioning why he's been dropped, what's he done to be dropped, and then Ward, they're like, why is he still in the team? When's he going to learn? He's not the answer. So that's the feeling around the Wrexham one. But with the Newcastle game, I sold Jack an absolute peach on WhatsApp. I told him, I said, we're gonna not get a result against Villa. We won't win the game, which was the Liverpool are going to batter Bournemouth, which is true. And then if they come to Newcastle, right, and they're playing Szoboszlai and Wirtz, these two attacking-minded midfielders, right, and you have Tonali, you have Bruno, and you have Joe just bullying them across the park, you're going to get run off the pitch.
Do you know what it feels like, Dan? Do you know what it feels like? It feels like this reminds me so much if only he was a bit older. I would love it. I love it. This is Kevin Keegan-esque.
Kevin Keegan's coming back on the show.
Kevin Keegan-esque at St James's Park. One thing I will say before the Hitman disappears. Hitman, tell us you were talking about the stats. You were talking about Matty Cash. What's the relevance of Matty Cash at Aston Villa today? It was quite an interesting state. He said he's 150th appearance.
150th appearance for Villa, yeah.
Yeah, 150. He's
Premier
always
League appearance. Premier League appearance.
He's always good for an assist or something like that. So we spoke. So there's a couple of important statistics there for Aston Villa players to their self motivation, but that could be interesting for an assist or a free kick. He obviously taking free kicks. Matty Cash to get an assist could be a bit of value there when they trip to Brentford.
We're going to put a same game parlay together for you for the Arsenal Leeds game in just a second. Ray says, good afternoon, Nigel, Dan, Paul. Totally expected our hiding last night. He's a West Ham fan. Sorry about that, Ray. Charles says, Frank, too good for Daniel Levy. Imagining him with real backing. And Stephen Bloom says, hey, everyone, good luck today. McTominay first to score in the Napoli game and score any time as well. Yeah, last season's Serie A Player of the Year. Napoli Scudetto winners start the defence of their crown against promoted Sassuolo. Scored a lot of goals in Serie B this season. It's an interesting game. James Eastham has got an official play on that one. Make sure you check out the European show for all the best plays across the continent. Some very shrewd plays from Steve and from James, who were in brilliant form last week. Arsenal versus Leeds. We expect Arsenal to win. Leeds probably deserved the success, Nigel, against Everton on Monday, even if it came from a penalty that perhaps should not have been given. Give us your thoughts on this one and give us the first leg of the same game parlay.
Well, I mean, I'm going there as soon as we finish this show, and I know you're going there as well.
Come on, we're on the taco.
We've got to get up to the Emirates tonight, so I'm looking forward to the game. I think the Emirates will be rocking. First game of the season, obviously for them, the home game of the season. Eze will probably be there, announced as their player as well. A feel-good factor will be there. Gyökeres's first match at home. Gyökeres is an absolute flat-track bully when it comes to playing teams in the lesser half of the table. I expect him to have a good performance tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to see him score his first goal at the Emirates. I'm expecting an Arsenal win. The market, again, isn't in love with Arsenal. Minus 375 on Wednesday, now minus 335.
Interesting move, that, isn't it? Nigel? Really? Would have thought
the Leeds were plus $9.50 now. They're $8. I think people just aren't getting carried away with week one. I think people just think, well, give it a bit of time, or the agents want to get with Leeds plus 1.75 goals. I think that's the way it's going to go. I would expect Arsenal to win. I don't think we're going to see a match full of goals. Leeds are going to be so strong at home, like the newly promoted clubs, as I said earlier. It's all about their home form for them. I expect Arsenal to win. My official play on the show was Arsenal to win to 0, which was even money. But for the parlay, I've got to go with the same theme. For the same game parlay, I'm going both teams to score. No, that's my leg on the parlay tonight. I expect Arsenal to win 2-0. Job done.
Paul, your thoughts on Arsenal against Leeds, which is the 12:30 Eastern kickoff, and the second leg of the SGP from you?
I think I'm very similar to Nigel. I think even Steve, I know he's a big Leeds fan, he said that Arsenal went 0. I think that was his insider pick for everyone. I think it was Arsenal to win and maybe both teams to score. No, or something of the similar sort. But I'm on the same type of line. I think Arsenal were pretty lucky in the end against Man United last week, so maybe that's why we're seeing some negative there in the market. I think for me, I think Saka's going to have a big game. He grew into the game last week, especially when Madueke came on. He seemed that he went off to the left and he started having a bit of success there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Arteta pull the trigger early after struggling, get Madueke on, shift Saka over, see if anything opens up. And yeah, I think Saka score assist anytime in this game. I like it.
Yeah, 2 goals against Leeds in his career, including the winner at Ellen Road a couple of years ago. That's the second leg of the SGP. Look, I think Arsenal will win. I think it'll be workmanlike. I think it'll be professional. 2-0, 3-0. I'm going to add under 3.5 to the SGP. So we've got both teams score no, Saka score or assist, under 3.5, which comes in at, drum roll, Paul, because I've forgotten.
Plus 310.
You having that one, Nigel? We getting on plus 310?
You know me and same game parties. I love them. Can't wait to get involved.
That's why we dropped from the show. Yeah. Listen, this is our bit of fun, same game party, bit of pizza money, plus 310, Saka score or assist, under 3.5, and both teams to score no. We've all thought long and hard about our particular slices of that SGP. That is your lot from us from today. Many thanks to everyone who's tuned in today. It's something new. This is just the second weekend of the Betting Weekly Saturday show, something we hope to do over the course of the season. So many thanks for tuning in, one and all. Nigel, Paul, thanks for your company. Don't forget, plenty from Nigel and Jack on the EPL show. We've got James and Steve on the European show. Unbeaten so far. Unbelievable picks last week. Have we got any UFC this week, Paul?
Yeah, we have. We had it this morning, actually. It's in Shanghai. It's best not to talk
Any winners?
That's the outro.
Any winners in the show or not?
Yeah,
Should I not?
Outro.
No, we'll pass.
Tennis, the US Open, the first round matches coming up now. Loads of stuff going on.
Yeah, lots of content on the Betting Weekly YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Good luck to all of the bettors out there this weekend. Let's cash some tickets. We will see you Monday. Have a great weekend.